here we are in Cascade Studios, and how'd you find out about this place? I'm really curious about this too.
There's this new thing out called Google, and I Googled it.
Is it an English thing or a...
I have no idea.
Okay.
I just know that it starts with a G.
Okay.
So I Googled this place.
So you do that,
Yeah.
and you're like, hey, I need the perfect place to...
I need the perfect place. You know, we're looking for a place to do an interview, made a few calls, and then I told you about it.
Well, what you said was, yeah, so we got this spot at the studio on Santa Monica.
Mm-hmm.
And at random I said, is it Cascade?
Yes, yes.
And you're going, well, come on, how do you know that? And I said, well, that's where our band rehearses.
That's where your band rehearses, yeah.
Band I'm in called Folk Riot, play drums with them. And that's how we met. You were out that night just with Skip and decided to come see the show, which was really cool. And what's funny is, so as we're walking in, you had said a different room, and I'm thinking, okay, that's cool. And as we're walking in, and we confirm the room, I'm going, that's the same room that our band always rehearses in.
How funny.
I'm usually over here.
How funny is this?
I'm usually making these things make noise, but for this, you know, we ended up in the same exact room at random. So shout out to Folk Riot, Cascade Studios.
Great band.
Okay, so now the first song that kind of started getting some attention worldwide, actually, right? No Strings Attached.
Yes.
Post on Facebook, had a few friends kind of respond, and then next thing you know, it's international radio, and you're getting responses from people all over the world. So where were you when you recorded that song?
I actually did that song. I did that one in Nashville, actually. That song right there was tracked. It's kind of a funny story here, how this circle thing comes around. I used to drive for the Oak Ridge Boys, believe it or not.
Oh, sure, okay.
And Rusty, who is William Golden, the guy with the beard, it's his son. And he actually started producing that first track, No Strings Attached. He took me in the studio, and he got me started on it, and he came up with the tempo and everything. And at a friend of his studio there in Hendersonville, Skip Mitchell Studios. So he took me there, we got it started, and we had been working on it probably for maybe less than a week. And getting back to the Queensryche thing, and it's a full circle, this is just crazy how this all works out. Rudy Sarzo is a friend of the Oak Ridge Boys, knew Rusty, the guy that was producing my first song, called him up while we were in the studio.
Working on it.
And says, do you know anybody that's not driving right now? And I'm right next to Rusty. Rusty just looks over at me and goes, are you driving for anybody right now? And I'm like, no. And he says, Rudy Sarzo wants to know if you want to drive for Queensryche. And I'm like, yeah. 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 So
and that was that. Yeah.
That was that. That's how that came about. And that's just how this little, who would have thought that you know, Rudy Sarzo, a big rock god bassist, would even know the Oak Ridge Boys. But he knows them, but he's very good friends with them. So that's how I got the job with Queensryche.
And, you know, is this something that you think you'll create an album of similar songs, a similar format? Or how far are you going to go each direction as far as genre is concerned? Are you doing one blues tune? Are you doing a couple? Are you rocking it all? I mean, what's happening?
You know, that's a good question, you know, because, you know, like, obviously I take my guitar and I have a little amp that I take on the road with me. And, you know, I'll sit in the hotel room and I'll pick something, you know, and it could be a blues thing, or it could be almost a R&B type of thing, and then I'll just fly with that, you know what I mean? And I get so excited about it, and then I want to record it, and that's how most of the stuff made the CD. You know, the rap stuff, I'm not a rapper, but I was in the room, and I started playing something, and I saw this section in the song that I thought that a hip-hop like rap thing would work in this.
There you go.
And that's how that happened. I mean, and then that's a tricky question for me. You know, you know, is all of it going to be blues or rock? I don't know. I really don't. I mean, you know, it's whatever I write. You know, somebody says, you know, we listen to your stuff. Like, what kind of music do you play? And I simply answered, I said, you know, I play music for everyone.
Doesn't it really? It's more about the connection. It doesn't really matter what the lick is
It's
or what
music.
the style is or what,
It's
yeah,
music,
how it's
you
made.
know?
It's just the
It's
connection.
music,
Yeah.
and you know, I've got some stuff that you know, most of it's you know, guitar stuff, but I've got some stuff with vocals, and I've actually got a country song, believe it or not.
There you go.
I've got a rock and country song that's going to make the.
I don't think you can live in Nashville longer than a few months and not end up writing.
And
a
not
country
end
song.
up writing,
It
putting
just
something
gets
country on.
infused into your system.
just does.
Because it's just so good there.
It just does, yeah. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm really, really excited about finishing this thing. You know, everybody goes, "Wow, you've been working on this thing for a long time." You know, when you're on the road as much as I am, you know, sometimes it's hard to get things done in the time that you want to get
time
done,
gets
you know?
stretched out, and then your usable time to yourself gets shortened.
Get shortened,
So
get
it's
shortened,
the-
you
it's the
know,
opposite
because you know, I mean, I
of-
have a life too. I have a
Yeah.
personal life too. You know, I've got family that you know that you know when I do come off the road, you know, I like to go visit. So that makes my time for me even shorter.
Even less,
You
yeah.
know, so but you know, I make good use of it. You know, I really do.
Absolutely.
I make good use of it. I don't let too much grass grow under my feet. That's for sure. Most people will tell you that. You know. So.
Well, it's nice that you're starting to take a little bit of time and you're finding these new songs and these new you know musical ideas and finally putting it down so
Yeah.
that everybody else can check it out and
Yeah.
and it sounds like people that you don't even know are hearing this
Yeah.
and responding to it. Tell me more about that.
Yeah. Well, you know, I you know, like I said, I mean, the stuff got. I put my first song, No Strings Attached. I'll tell you a little story that most people don't know, is that when No Strings Attached came out, which was the first single off the CD, I wrote that song. I didn't even own a guitar. At the time, I was actually living in my pickup truck. Believe it or not, some bad things happened to me, and I was on top of the world at one time, and then sometimes that just gets taken from you,
yeah.
and it did, and I accepted it, you know, and I didn't have any money to buy a guitar or anything, but that song, No Strings Attached, how it came about was I was on tour with a female country band,
Okay.
and every city we would go to, I would park the bus, and I'd go to the Guitar Center, and I'd pick up a guitar, and I'd start writing the licks. And
Right.
every city got a different lick, got a different, you know, melody or something. And pretty soon I had the whole song written, but I still didn't have a guitar.
Wow.
So, so finally, I think I was on tour with Yes. I'd finished up with the girls, and I went on tour for a little while with Yes. And then finally, I got paid enough money, so I got a guitar.
Okay.
And I said, this is it. I'm going into the studio, you know, and I'm going to track this song. So that song is actually was written in every state across the country.
And who knows how many guitar centers? Yeah.
Yeah, and how many guitars it was written
Yeah.
on. It's funny because the guys at Guitar Center would come up and he'd go, yes, so what do you think of that guitar? You know, and I'd go, oh God, you know, it's a great guitar. You know, I get a check on Friday,
Sure.
and I'll probably be back to buy that.
Sure. Yeah.
And then I'd scoot on out the door and go,
You're out of town on
and
Thursday.
I'm out of town, you know. So that's how that was written. And I recorded it, and I almost recorded it because, you know, a lot of people never even knew that I played guitar. So it was kind of like a, you know, this is really what I do, guys. You know, I drive a bus, but this is really what I do.
Okay.
You know, and I've been playing guitar much longer than I've been driving buses.
Sure.
You know, so so I just had to get it out there. You know, and I'm glad I did. I put it out on Facebook just as a kind of a fluke, and man, it went like crazy. And internet radio stations picked it up, and it was playing over in Europe, and you know, people were you know, messaging me and wanting me
Just
to give
catching on,
want me to
yeah.
give them guitar lessons in
Wow.
Indonesia. I mean, you know
Okay.
how much that guitar lesson would
Yeah,
be
that's
if I had to
bit
travel
of
to
a pricey-
Indonesia?
Yeah. That's not a $30 guitar
That's
lesson.
not a $30
Yeah.
guitar lesson right there, I tell you. But yeah, it's been, I mean, I tell you, man, the last year and a half, 2 years, I don't know if I would change a thing. friends, the people that I've met, some of the writers that I've been able to write with, my buddy Dov Michaels, great lyricist. You know, we wrote some stuff too, and you're going to hear some of that on the CD too. He's one of them guys. I mean, you could walk out the front door and throw a piece of trash on the floor and it'd hit a tree and bounce off of it, and he could just make that work as a song. I don't know how he does it.
Turn it into something.
But he could just write a song about that. I don't know how he does it, but he's one of them guys, you know. Writes great lyrics, great lyricist. But yeah, man, everything's going good. I'm gonna keep moving forward.
I love it.
You know?
Can you will you just give the fans a little something? Will you play a little bit of the new song for us through the guitar? Can you give us a little something?
All right,
a little bit of a chorus or even an intro, or
I'll play a little bit of the intro.
You can play the guitar solo, whatever you want.
Yeah, I'll play a little bit.
Let's
of the
listen to that
intro.
intro.
This is the intro to Blues Room 212. So that's all you get.
Buddy.
That's the little teaser there.
Yeah.
So bluesy,
Like
you know, bluesy.
Dig it.
You know, yeah.
It's got some soul to it.
It does.
There's a story behind that song. Yeah.
There's a few stories
There's
behind
more than
that
one.
song. But anyways, yeah. You know, I'm moving forward, man. Everything's good, and you know, I'm glad I got the opportunity to see you again.
Well, it's fun to catch up, you know, when we're all traveling and doing our own projects, and many of us have multiple projects going on, and you know, it's fun when you meet somebody and you know instantly, okay, cool, we're going to be good, we're going to be friends, and when we're in town, we'll say hey. And,
yeah.
And so it's fun to be able to connect up and kind of get caught up and see what's going on.
Well, what are you doing here in the next hour?
Well,
I'm kind of hungry.
Man, I think I need to go get something to eat.
Are you kind of hungry?
Yeah.
I say we go out and eat.
All right.
What are we going? Let's do
Gee, maybe
chicken wings.
you know,
what do you think? Chicken wings?
Yes, chicken wings.
Gee whiz, let's
I don't
see.
know, maybe
There's
like
so
some
much stuff
barbecue.
here.
They got burgers in this
burgers.
town.
Yeah.